He'd never imagined that I'd known everything all along, and that I'd chosen the cruelest, most thorough way to expose his hypocrisy and cruelty to the world. I looked at his shattered expression. There was no sense of satisfaction in my heart, only cold emptiness. I set down the microphone, turned away from him and faced the guests, many of whom looked shocked, but more looked understanding and supportive. I slipped my arm through Asher's. Asher squeezed my hand tightly, his palm warm and strong. The MC took a deep breath, forcing down his excitement, and announced in the steadiest voice he could manage. It seems some misunderstandings will take time to clear up. But for now, let's focus on the happy moment before us. Mr. G. Asher, do you take Miss Xia Freya, the woman beside you, to be your lawfully wedded wife? The ceremony continued, though the atmosphere was bizarre and charged with unspoken tension. Felix stood like a soulless statue in the spot that should have been his. He watched as Asher slipped a ring on my finger, listened as Asher spoke the words, "I do," clearly and affectionately. In that moment his world crumbled completely. The MC's words were like water thrown on boiling oil. After a brief silence, the hall erupted again, even more violently than before. By God! The bride's name on the invitations was Shen Feifei. Gu Felix actually said that? He only married Xia Freya for her family background. This is utter humiliation. Good for the Xia girl. So it's not the bride who changed her mind at the last minute. It's the groom who already had someone else in his heart. He deserved to be dumped. The murmurs turned into a tidal wave sweeping through the hall. Every look directed at Felix and Feifei was filled with disdain, mockery and excitement at the drama unfolding. Reporters snapped photos frantically, capturing Felix's deathly pale face, Feifei's collapsed, disheveled state, and they looked as if they wanted to crawl into the ground and disappear. Felix stood there, his body trembling slightly. He'd been the center of attention his entire life. He'd never suffered such public humiliation, especially not at his own wedding, where he'd thought he was in complete control. And certainly not at the hands of a woman he'd always seen as his possession. He fixed his gaze on me, those deep eyes I'd once been infatuated with now filled with the red of humiliation and a near-crazed fury. He seemed to want to rush forward, but as soon as he moved, several burly relatives arranged by my father stepped forward silently, blocking his path. Asher's vow was steady and firm. Each word was like a hammer blow to Felix's heart, and to the last remaining shreds of the Gu family's dignity. For better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, I will love you, cherish you and be faithful to you until death do us part. It was my turn. I turned to G. Asher, gazing into his eyes, warm, solemn and brimming with tenderness. My answer rang out clearly without a moment of hesitation. I do. Once I'd imagined speaking these words to another man, filled with boundless hope and joy. Now the weight of them felt different, no longer fiery passion, but the steady resolve of someone who'd weathered a storm and found solid ground at last. During the ring exchange, Asher carefully slipped a simple yet dazzling diamond ring onto my ring finger, replacing the plain band I'd worn before. It fit perfectly as if it had been crafted just for me. I slid a men's band onto his finger in return. The groom may now kiss the bride, the MC announced, his voice laced with quiet relief and genuine delight. Asher looked deep into my eyes, leaning in slowly. Just as his lips were about to meet mine, I caught a glimpse of Gu Felix out of the corner of my eye. Barred by the crowd, he let out a low, wounded growl, like a beast caught in a trap. He tried to surge forward, desperate to break through, but strong hands held him back. Veins bulged on his forehead, his eyes wide with rage. His gaze seemed ready to tear apart everything in its path. I didn't look back. I closed my eyes gently, feeling Asher's lips brush mine, a soft kiss, but one filled with profound tenderness. Applause erupted again. This time it held far less curiosity, replaced by sincere tufu and awe at the dramatic turn the wedding had taken. The ceremony was over. Asher and I held hands, turning to face the guests. Camera flashes blazed once more. As we passed Felix, he suddenly broke free from the hands restraining him. He lunged forward, grabbing my wrist in a grip so tight it felt like my bones might crack. "Xia Freya." His voice was hoarse, his bloodshot eyes fixed on me, furious, unwilling to accept defeat, and haunted by a panic he couldn't even understand. "You tricked me? You've been tricking me this whole time? How dare you?" Asher stepped forward instantly, clamping down on Felix's wrist with a cold, firm grip. "Go Felix, let go. Don't touch my wife." "Wife?" Felix flinched as if the word had scorched him. He laughed wildly, a bitter, shrill sound. "She's my bride." Xiao Freya's name was supposed to be in the Gu family genealogy. "What is this? None of it counts. None of it. Doesn't count?" I wrenched my hand free, rubbing my red, bruised wrist. I stared at him coldly, my eyes empty of any warmth. "Gu Felix, do I need to remind you? We never registered our marriage. Legally, I was never your wife. This had been part of the plan all along. We'd intended to register after the wedding, but now I was grateful we'd waited." Felix froze, stunned as if struck by lightning. He'd clearly forgotten this detail, or perhaps he'd never imagined a day would come when it would matter. "And the genealogy?" I let out a sharp, mocking laugh. "You should first figure out how to explain to your family elders why the well-matched bride you handpicked ran off with someone else at your wedding. Though I suppose you could add Shen Feifei's name instead. After all, she's the one you should have married in the first place, isn't she?" My words were like knives, piercing straight to his most painful wounds. His face turned from white to blue, then purple. His chest heaved violently as if he might collapse at any moment. Shen Feifei came scrambling over, her face streaked with tears. She tried to grab Felix's arm, her voice trembling. "Felix Gidge, it's not like this. Let me explain. Xia Freya framed me. I really didn't know about the invitations. Get away from me." Felix was consumed by rage. The sight of Feifei's face only reminded him of all his humiliation. He swung his arm violently, shoving her to the ground. Feifei stumbled backward with a shriek, landing in a heap. Her carefully styled hair fell loose, her dress crumpled, pitiful and absurd all at once. Felix didn't even glance at her. His eyes remained locked on me, something fragile and desperate flickering in their depths. He opened his mouth as if to speak, but when he met my icy gaze, all words died in his throat. I gave him one final look, no hatred, no resentment, only complete, utter indifference. Then I tightened my grip on Asher's arm, turning my back on the chaos behind us. I held my head high, walking step by step down the petal-strewn aisle toward the banquet hall's exit. Behind me, I could hear Felix's broken shouts, Feifei's sobs, the Gu parents' angry reprimands and the varied stares of the guests. But none of it mattered anymore. My battle was over. And Felix and Feifei's hell was only just beginning. Asher and I didn't stay for the traditional toasting ceremony. The core goal of this wedding had been achieved. The mess left behind was the Gu families to clean up. Linda had arranged everything for the aftermath. We left through a private hotel exit, slipping into a black car that had been waiting for us. As the car pulled away, it left the noise, chaos and shame far behind. The sunlight outside the window was bright and harsh. I leaned back against the seat, letting out a long breath. The tension that had coiled in my chest for so long finally relaxed, replaced by an overwhelming weariness that threatened to pull me under. Asher took my hand gently. He didn't speak, instead he let the warmth of his palm convey silent support. "I'm okay," I said, forcing a smile. It was pale, a ghost of relief, but genuine. "Just tired. Get some sleep. I'll wake you when we arrive," Asher said, guiding my head to rest on his shoulder. His movements were natural, gentle. I didn't resist. Closing my eyes, I breathed in the fresh, clean scent of Asher's cologne, so different from the sharp, woody fragrance Felix favored. Felt like a safe haven. Once my guard dropped, exhaustion washed over me and I fell into a deep sleep against his shoulder. What I didn't know was that after we left, the hotel banquet hall descended into complete farce. In full view of everyone, Felix lost control. He tried to chase after us, but hotel security, alerted in advance, and the relatives my father had arranged stepped in, holding him back. He thrashed like a caged animal, his eyes bloodshot, all pretense of grace gone. He screamed at the air, even getting into a physical scuffle with those restraining him. His expensive suit was torn and wrinkled, his face scraped, hardly the image of the elegant young heir he'd always portrayed. Fei remained on the floor, sobbing hysterically. Xia Freya framed me, and Felix Gidge, I love you, desperate to salvage the situation. But all she got in return was disdainful looks. Felix's mother nearly fainted from anger. His father dragged her away, casting one last look at his son, now a raving mess, and Fei sprawled on the floor in disgrace. His eyes were cold, filled with profound disappointment. Yuan tried to calm Felix down, but Felix shoved him away roughly. With the main players in chaos, the guests began to leave, their expressions a mix of shock, amusement, and awkwardness. Many pulled out their phones as they walked, eager to share the scandal that would soon rock the entire city. Reporters, meanwhile, were in a frenzy. They pushed past security, snapping photos of Felix's disheveled state and Fei's humiliation. It was easy to imagine the exciting headlines that would appear the next day. What had been meant to be a highly anticipated union of two wealthy families ended in disaster. The groom publicly rejected, his mistress exposed, and the Gu family's reputation in tatters. When I woke up, I found myself in a strange but tastefully decorated bedroom. Outside the window, the city was already lit up with night lights. Asher sat on a sofa nearby, working on his laptop. Soft lamplight outlined his focused profile. Did you sleep well? He noticed I was awake, closing his laptop and walking over to hand me a glass of warm water. This is my apartment in the city. It's safe, no one knows about this place. I took the glass, sipping the warm water to soothe my dry throat. Did I sleep that long? Asher said, sitting on the edge of the bed. He looked at me gently. Are you hungry? I had food sent over. It's still warm. I shook my head. I had no appetite. My gaze fell to the diamond ring on my finger, and I felt a faint sense of disorientation. In just one day my life had been turned upside down. How's everything outside? I asked softly. Asher pulled out his phone, opening several local news apps and social media feeds before handing it to me. As expected, the wedding dominated every headline. Twist. Bride dumps groom at Guxia wedding, chooses another man. Invitation gate, exposed. Gu heir accused of two-timing faces reckoning. On scene. Woman named Shin causes chaos at wedding, suspected of failed attempt to steal groom. The photos were even more dramatic. Close-ups of Felix's furious, restrained figure. Fei sobbing on the floor, disheveled. The Gu parents hurrying away in embarrassment. And shots of Asher and me exchanging rings, even kissing on stage. The comment sections were exploding with reactions, sympathy, mockery, outrage, and praise, each more heated than the last. The perfect image Felix had spent years building, along with the Gu family's reputation, had crumbled completely in a single day. Fei meanwhile had become a laughingstock, reviled by everyone. I scrolled through the news calmly, feeling little emotion. This was exactly what they deserved. When they'd chosen to trample on my dignity and feelings, they should have known retribution would come. Gu Group stock price, Asher paused, adding quietly, plummeted as soon as the market opened. Many partners have already called their attitudes vague. My father and Uncle Xia are already taking action. There's no way the Gu family will get their hands on that East City land now. The business counterattack had only just begun. What Felix had lost wasn't just a wedding or a bride. It was the family foundation and business credibility he'd relied on his entire life. I set down the phone, gazing at the glittering night view outside the window. Asher. Thank you, I said softly. Thank you for being there when I was at my lowest. Thank you for staying with me through this charade. Thank you for giving me a clean break and a new start, even if it seemed absurd. Asher was silent for a moment. Then he reached out, brushing a strand of hair from my forehead with a tenderness that took my breath away. Freya, you never have to thank me. His eyes were deep, swirling with emotions I couldn't fully understand yet. For you this wedding might have been a performance, a revenge. But for me, he paused, his voice low and solemn, it's the only dream I've hidden in my heart since I was young. My heart skipped a beat. Just then my phone rang sharply. The name flashing on the screen made my blood run cold. Goo Felix. He actually dares to call? Asher G and I exchanged a look and I pressed the answer button and turned on the speakerphone. On the other end of the phone, Felix Goo's hoarse voice came through, filled with the heavy smell of alcohol and a desperate sense of collapse. Freya. Is that you? Freya. I was wrong. I was really wrong. Can you please come back? Feifei is nothing. The one I love is you. It's always been you. I'll die without you. Freya. Please. Come back. You're my bride. Listening to his rambling confessions and pleas, my face remained expressionless, and my heart was even more still. Only realizing your mistake now? Loving me now? Too late. Felix Goo, your tears and pleas only make me feel that today's decision is absolutely right. I didn't say anything, hung up the phone directly and then dragged the number into the blacklist. The world is quiet. Felix Goo's phone call was like a brief farce, quickly dismissed by Asher G and me. The food he brought was light and delicious. I managed to eat some and the warmth in my stomach made me feel much better. Asher G didn't bother me too much, giving me enough space to sort out my chaotic thoughts. Late at night I lay in the guest room bed but I was wide awake. The scenes from the day replayed in my mind. Felix Goo's shocked and twisted face, Feifei Shen's hysterical cries, the guests' astonished expressions. And Asher G's steady and firm gaze, my father's supportive look. After the venting of hatred and anger, there was still an unspeakable emptiness and exhaustion deep in my heart. After all, I had genuinely loved Felix Goo and planned a future with him. Now that everything had come to nothing, ending in such a tragic way, it would be a lie to say I wasn't sad. But that sadness wasn't because of losing him, but for the me who had once given my heart and soul, only to place it in the wrong hands. There was a soft knock on the door. Freya, are you asleep? It was Asher G's voice with a hint of barely perceptible concern. Not yet, come in. Asher pushed the door open and came in, holding a glass of warm milk in his hand. He had changed into his home clothes, losing some of the sharpness he had during the day and gaining some gentleness. Drink some milk, it will help you sleep. He handed me the glass and dragged a chair to sit by the bed, not too close, maintaining a comfortable distance. I took the glass, the warm touch coming from the palm of my hand. I'm fine, I said, looking at him, just thinking about some things. Thinking about the future? Asher G asked knowingly. I nodded, then shook my head. Not entirely. I'm also thinking about the past. I feel like I was a bit foolish. Asher G was silent for a moment, the light casting a faint shadow in his deep eyes. It's not that you were foolish, it's that Felix Goo wasn't worthy. He paused, looked at me, and his tone became unusually serious. Freya, every word I said at the wedding today was from my heart. I know the beginning of this marriage is unusual and you may need time. I won't force you, I'll wait for you. Waiting for what? I asked subconsciously. Waiting for your heart to be cleansed, waiting for you to be willing. Truly to try and accept me. His voice was low and gentle with an unmistakable sincerity. My heart stirred slightly. I had always known Asher G's feelings, but in the past my eyes and heart were occupied by Felix Goo, and I deliberately ignored his affection. Now, at the most embarrassing moment of my life, he not only didn't laugh at my blindness, but gave me a solid haven and even willing to give me time. Asher G, I said softly, holding the warm milk cup, why are you so good to me? Perhaps I'm asking this question too late, or perhaps this is the perfect time to ask. Asher G smiled, a smile tinged with a hint of nostalgia and a subtle bitterness. Do you remember that time in our senior year of high school when I was cornered in an alley by those thugs from school, and you rushed over holding half a brick, threatening to call the police and scaring them away? I paused, vaguely recalling something like that happening. Back then, although Asher G came from a wealthy family, he was somewhat aloof and didn't like to talk, always alone, making him an easy target for bullies. I just happened to be passing by, couldn't stand it, and impulsively rushed in. Actually, they wouldn't have done anything to me, Asher G continued, but the way you were trembling with fear, yet still pretending to be calm and standing in front of me. I probably won't forget that for the rest of my life. His gaze fell on the void as if traveling back to that sweltering summer afternoon. From that moment on, I wondered how such a gentle girl could harbor so much courage within her. Later I watched you chase after Felix Gu, watched him dangle you with an aloofness, watched you be happy for him and sad for him. I really wanted to tell you that he wasn't worth it, but I had no right to. So, when you agreed to his proposal, I chose to leave. I thought that was the happiness you wanted. There was a hint of suppressed pain in his voice, but if I had known you would suffer such grievances, I would have snatched you away no matter what. I listened blankly, never knowing that behind me, in those moments when I was chasing after Felix Gu's back and neglecting everything else, there had always been such a gaze, silently and persistently watching me. Freya. Asher turned his gaze back, refocusing on my face, his eyes clear and firm. I'm good to you not because you need revenge today nor out of sympathy, but because from a long time ago you've lived here. He raised his hand and gently tapped the location of his heart. Simple words, yet more powerful than any oath of love. The warmth of the milk cup seeped through my palm, warming the cold corner of my heart. I looked at the man before me with his deep features and focused gaze, and for the first time truly and earnestly I saw him not just with my eyes but with my heart. In the chaotic fog of my mind, a glimmer of light quietly ignited. Perhaps the best way to end a wrong relationship is not to wallow in resentment, but to bravely move towards new possibilities. I drained the milk in my glass, handed the empty glass back to him, and a truly relaxed smile appeared on my face for the first time since the wedding. Asher G, thank you for the milk and your patience. I will try to clean that place up as soon as possible. A bright light instantly burst from Asher's eyes. He took the cup, the corners of his mouth rising uncontrollably, like a big boy who had received his favorite candy. Okay, I'll wait for you. No rush, we have a lifetime. He got up and tucked the blanket around me. It's late, go to sleep. Tomorrow. Maybe there will be new storms to face, but don't be afraid, I'm here. He turned off the light, gently closed the door and left. The bedroom was plunged into darkness and silence, but I no longer felt empty and cold. Asher G's words were like a seed, quietly falling into the barren field of my heart. Outside the window the city lights were still bright. The rebirth of Freya Xia may have truly begun. And the nightmare of Felix Gu and Fei Feishan will certainly not end with a farce of a wedding. The flames of revenge have been ignited, and they will slowly taste the bitter fruit of commercial encirclement and social ruin bite by bite. The next day I was awakened by the constant vibration of my cell phone. The day had already dawned and sunlight streamed in through the gaps in the curtains. I picked up my phone, the screen displaying dozens of missed calls and hundreds of messages, mostly from former friends, business partners and distant relatives I barely knew. Without even looking, I knew the content would be nothing more than shock, inquiries about inside information or hypocritical concern. I couldn't be bothered to deal with it and immediately put it on silent. Linda and a few real close friends sent messages, their words full of support and satisfaction. Linda, Freya, are you awake? The Gu family is in an uproar. Felix Gu was drunk at a hotel bar last night, got into a fight with someone and ended up at the police station. The Gu family had to send people to bail him out this morning. What an embarrassment. Bestie A, well done Freya. That bitch Fei Feishan doesn't even dare to leave her house today. There are reporters blocking the entrance. Bestie B, news. Gu's group stock has hit its second limit down. Several major project partners have announced the suspension of cooperation and are waiting to see what happens. The Gu family is likely to suffer a major blow this time. Looking at this information, I didn't feel much emotion. All of this was their own doing. Getting up and walking out of the guest room, Asher G had already prepared breakfast, a simple Western-style meal exquisitely arranged. He was wearing a simple white t-shirt and casual pants, brewing coffee in the kitchen, the morning light outlining his tall figure with a warm, homely feel. "Morning." He looked back at me, his smile refreshing. "How did you sleep?" "Not bad." I sat down at the dining table. "Is it lively outside?" "Yeah." Asher G handed me the coffee, his tone calm. "Felix Gu and Fei Fei Shen have become the laughingstock of the city. Gu's stock price has plummeted and cooperation is hindered. But you don't have to worry about any of this. I'll handle it." I nodded. I have no doubt about Asher G's abilities. After what happened yesterday, he can still calmly arrange everything and give me a safe haven. This responsibility is reassuring. "What's the plan for today?" I asked him. "I'll go with you to take care of some necessary procedures first." Asher G sat across from me, cutting the fried egg on his plate. "For example, moving your things from your apartment over here? Or if you don't want to move them for the time being, you can leave it as it is. It's very safe here." I thought about it. That honeymoon suite that Felix and I rented was full of disgusting memories. I didn't want to set foot in it for even a day longer. "Let's move," I said decisively. "I don't want most of those things anyway. I'll just pick out a few that are meaningful to me and take them with me." "Okay, I'll arrange it." Asher G nodded. "Also, Uncle Xia called this morning and said that he would stabilize things at the company so you don't have to worry. He also said to come home for dinner when you have time. Your mother misses you very much." Speaking of my parents, my nose tingled slightly. At yesterday's wedding, my father firmly placed my hand in Asher G's, giving me immense courage. They are always my strongest support. "Yeah, I know," I responded softly. After breakfast, Asher G drove me back to my apartment first. To avoid unnecessary trouble, we took the direct route through the underground garage. The apartment was still the same as yesterday, with even the huge wedding photo still hanging in the living room. Felix Gu's fake smile in the photo seemed incredibly ironic at this moment. I had no attachment, went straight into the bedroom and started packing my things. Clothes, skincare products, some books and important documents. As for the jewelry and bags that Felix Gu had given me, I didn't even look at them and left them where they were. When I opened the bedside table drawer to take the jade pendant my mother had given me, I saw the diamond ring that Felix Gu had given me when he proposed, lying there quietly. The pigeon egg-sized diamond still sparkled with a cold light in the dim light. I picked up the ring, my heart no longer wavering. Just as I was about to throw it in the trash, Asher G held my hand. "Don't throw it away." He took the ring and looked at it. "This thing is worth some money, it's a pity to throw it away. Sell it and donate it to charity. It's also a way to earn some good karma for Felix Gu." I was amused by his words and smiled. "Okay, I'll listen to you." In the end, I only packed 2 suitcases of personal belongings. As we were about to leave, the apartment doorbell rang shrilly. Looking through the peephole, I was surprised to see Felix Gu standing outside the door, looking haggard with red and swollen eyes. He had obviously not slept all night. His hair was messy, his chin was covered with blue stubble, his expensive suit was wrinkled, and he reeked of alcohol and smoke. He was a far cry from the refined young master he used to be. He saw the reflection from the cat's eye, knew I was inside, and started banging on the door, his voice hoarse and urgent. "Freya! I know you're in there. Open the door. Let's talk." "Freya. I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Just listen to my explanation. It was all that bitch Fei Fei Shen who seduced me. It's you I love. It's always been you from beginning to end." His shouts echoed in the empty hallway, sounding particularly jarring and pathetic. Asher G frowned slightly, stepping forward to open the door and deal with the situation, but I shook my head at him. I didn't want to see Felix Gu, and I certainly didn't want any further entanglement with him. His confessions and shifting of blame only disgusted me. I took out my phone and dialed the property management office directly, my tone calm. "Hello, I'm Freya Xia, the owner of Unit XX, Room XX. There's a strange man harassing me at my door and he's very emotionally unstable. Please send security up here immediately, or I'll call the police directly. After hanging up the phone, Felix Gu outside the door seemed to have heard the content of my call, and the sound of him banging on the door became even more frantic. Freya Xia, you're calling the police? You dare call the police? I'm your fiancé. Fiancé. I said coldly to the door, my voice not loud, but enough for him to hear clearly. Mr. Gu, have you forgotten? At yesterday's wedding my husband was Asher G. Do you need me to find the wedding video for you to review? The outside fell silent instantly. Immediately following was Felix Gu's even more distraught, wounded beast-like growl and the sound of him kicking the door. Soon the security guards rushed over and voices of persuasion and restraint could be heard. Mr. Gu, please calm down. Do not disturb other residents. Let go of me. I want to see Freya Xia. She's my wife. Mr. Gu, please leave immediately or we will really call the police. The noise gradually faded away, eventually disappearing at the elevator entrance. The world returned to silence. I leaned against the door, slowly exhaling a breath of stale air. Asher G walked to my side and gently put his arm around my shoulders. It's okay now, he said softly. I nodded. Yes, it's okay now. Felix Gu's madness and entanglement will only strengthen my resolve to leave. We pulled our suitcases and left directly from the underground garage. As we passed the entrance of the residential area, I saw Felix Gu being stopped by 2 security guards. He was still looking towards the apartment building with resentment, his figure looking down and distorted. I didn't look back. The sunlight outside the car window was beautiful, enough to dispel all gloom. Let the past be completely in the past. After moving out of the apartment, I temporarily settled in Asher G's place. His place has tight security and good privacy, effectively isolating it from external disturbances. In the following days, the aftermath of that wedding continued to ferment. The Gu Group stock price plummeted like a roller coaster, with an astonishing evaporation of market value. Previously interested partners have suspended or re-evaluated projects, and banks have begun to tighten credit. Mr. Gu was overwhelmed, running around trying to put out fires, but Felix Gu's scandal had too much of a negative impact, seriously shaking the market's confidence in Gu's management and credibility. Fei Shin has become the target of public criticism. Relying on Felix Gu's influence, she had offended many people in the industry. Now that the wall has fallen, everyone is pushing and all kinds of dirt on her have been dug up, from plastic surgery to academic fraud, from snatching resources to a chaotic private life. She has become a laughing stock and object of scorn across the internet. Her company has also been implicated and its business has plummeted. Occasionally, some fearless paparazzi wanted to dig into the aftermath between Asher G and me, but Asher G blocked them all without making a sound. He protected me very well, giving me a rare period of peace to adjust my mood. During this time I went back to my parents' house. The moment my mother saw me, her eyes reddened and she hugged me tightly, repeating, "It's good to be back, it's good to be back. We won't jump into that pit of fire again." Although my father didn't say much, his eyes were full of relief and support. At the dinner table, he rarely poured a glass of wine for Asher G and said solemnly, "Asher G, Freya will be in your care from now on." Asher G stood up, accepted the glass with both hands and said in a steady and firm tone, "Uncle Xia, Aunt Xia, please rest assured, I will cherish Freya with my life and never let her suffer any grievances again." Watching my parents' relieved expressions and Asher G's solemn promise, the last bit of gloom in my heart gradually dissipated. Family and a true lover are the treasures I should cherish most. A week later, an unexpected person contacted me through various connections. It was Felix Gu's mother, Madame Gu. She asked to meet me at an extremely secluded private club, her tone almost pleading, saying she only wanted to talk for a few minutes as it concerned the survival of the Gu family. I didn't want to see anyone from the Gu family again, but Asher G said, There's no harm in meeting her, hearing what she has to say and making a clean break. I'll go with you and wait outside. After thinking about it, I agreed. Seeing Madame Gu again, I almost didn't recognize her. In just a few days she seemed to have aged 10 years. Her once exquisite makeup couldn't hide the dark circles under her eyes and the deep wrinkles. Her clothes were no longer as meticulous as before, and she carried a forced weariness and desolation. When she saw me, she immediately stood up, forcing an extremely unnatural, ingratiating smile on her face. Freya, you're here. Quick, please sit down. I sat down opposite her, my attitude distant and calm. Madame Gu, did you want something from me? Madame Gu wrung her hands, her eyes flickering. After a long pause, she finally spoke with difficulty. Freya, I know Felix is a scoundrel. He's a terrible person. He's let you down. The Gu family has let you down too. Her voice choked with sobs as she spoke. But the Gu Corporation is the life's work of your Uncle Gu. Now, because of this incident, the stock price has plummeted, collaborations have been terminated, and the bank is demanding repayment. If this continues, the Gu Corporation will collapse. Freya, I'm begging you, can you please be merciful and let the Gu family off the hook? I quietly watched her performance, sneering inwardly. Back then, she and Gu's father tacitly approved and even condoned Felix Gu and Fei Shen's ambiguous relationship. Did they ever have any genuine feelings for me, the prospective daughter-in-law? Now that the building is about to collapse, she wants to beg me to be merciful? Madame Gu, I said calmly, the problems faced by the Gu Corporation are market behaviors, a crisis of confidence caused by Felix Gu's personal misconduct. What does it have to do with me? What ability do I have to be merciful? You do. Madame Gu said urgently. Freya, you are the only one who can save the Gu family now. Asher Ji listens to you. And your father. As long as your Xia family and Ji family are willing to say a word to stabilize market confidence, or even if you just stop putting pressure on them, the Gu Corporation can still be saved. She almost lunged forward to grab my hand, but I dodged her. She froze for a moment, then continued to plead. Freya, I know you hate Felix, hate us. You can take revenge on him however you want. But the Gu Group has thousands of employees, they are innocent. You can't just watch them lose their jobs and the Gu family go bankrupt. Moral kidnapping? I looked at her, my eyes showing no emotion. Madame Gu, what you're saying is a bit much. The reason why employees might lose their jobs and the Gu family might go bankrupt is your son's misconduct and the Gu Group's own management crisis. Not because I, the victim, refuse to forgive. As for what Asher Ji and my father do, those are their business decisions. I have no right, nor will I interfere. I stood up, not wanting to get entangled with her any further. If you came to me today just to say these things, then I don't think there's any need for us to talk anymore. Freya. Wait. Madame Gu also stood up in a fluster, a look of desperation on her face. She seemed to have made a great decision, gritting her teeth and saying, If you are willing to help, name your conditions. We can give the development rights of that piece of land in the east of the city entirely to the Xia family. Or how much money do you want? As long as the Gu family can afford it. In exchange of benefits? I stopped, turned back to look at her, and a cold arc appeared at the corner of my mouth. Madame Gu, do you think I would still care about the Gu family's money or that piece of land? Then what do you want? Madame Gu was completely flustered. What do I want? I want to turn back time. I want to have never met Felix Gu. I want my trampled heart to be whole again. But the Gu family can't give me these things. I looked at the noblewoman in front of me, who lowered her proud head for the sake of the family's interests and slowly said, I don't want anything. I just want Felix Gu and your Gu family to pay the price they deserve for your arrogance, hypocrisy, and trampling on my dignity. As for how great the cost will be, I paused, my voice clear and cold, that is the cause you yourselves planted and the fruit it bore. It has nothing to do with me. Having said that, I ignored her instantly pale face and desperate eyes, turned around and left the booth without hesitation. Asherji was waiting for me outside the door, and when he saw me come out he naturally took my hand. All done. Okay. I nodded. Let's go home. Walking out of the club, the sun was just right. I knew that I had done everything I could for the Gu family. Their collapse was their own fault. And my new life is unfolding slowly in the sunlight. Time quietly slipped into early autumn. That sensational wedding fiasco that rocked the city gradually ceased to be the sole topic of gossip after meals, as the Gu group continued to be turbulent and a new round of business scandals emerged. But its impact had been deeply etched into the fate of everyone involved. After experiencing several rounds of disastrous limit downs and the withdrawal of partners, the Gu group barely managed to stabilize its position by selling off some assets and relying on the old connections of Gu's father, avoiding immediate bankruptcy. However, it had been severely weakened, falling from a first-tier wealthy family to a second-rate enterprise, its former glory gone. Felix Gu was stripped of all real power in the group and was reportedly forced abroad by Gu's father, nominally for further study, but in reality, it was an exile to avoid the limelight. Fei Shin completely disappeared, all social media accounts were cleared, and it is said that her family, unable to withstand the pressure of public opinion and business setbacks, had moved out of the city. I mostly heard these news occasionally from Linda or my bestie, like listening to other people's stories without any ripples in my heart. They paid the price for their choices and my life had already turned a new page. My relationship with Asherji progressed slowly in a calm and natural atmosphere. We lived under the same roof but respected each other, giving each other enough space. He was busy with work but always tried to come home on time to have dinner with me. We would watch movies together, discuss current events, or just read our own books without disturbing each other, but there was a tacit warmth flowing between us. He no longer eagerly expressed anything, but meticulously took care of me with his actions. He would remember my favorite flavors, silently bring me hot milk when I stayed up late drawing design drafts, and give me pertinent advice when I was upset about work. He was like a gentle breeze, silently smoothing over my past scars, gradually making me accustomed to the sense of security of having him by my side. I refocused my energy on my career. I studied design in college and in order to cater to Felix Gu and his family's expectations, I once considered entering the Gu family to take a leisurely position. Now I had completely broken free from those constraints and partnered with like-minded friends to open an independent design studio, focusing on the field I truly loved. Although the start was difficult, every day was full of energy and anticipation. That night I stayed up very late in the study because of a creative bottleneck in a new project. Asherji came back from a social engagement with a faint smell of alcohol on him. Seeing that the light in the study was still on, he came over. Not asleep yet? He leaned against the doorframe, his voice lower and more magnetic than usual due to the slight intoxication. Yeah, I'm stuck on something. I rubbed my throbbing temples, staring at the unsatisfactory design draft on the computer screen. Asherji walked in and leaned over to look at my screen. He was very close, his warm breath brushing against my ear, carrying a crisp scent of alcohol. My heart skipped a beat and I subconsciously tilted my head slightly. He didn't seem to notice my subtle reaction, focusing intently on the design draft for a few seconds before pointing to one of the sections. The structure here, if you reference the overhang of Gothic architecture, wouldn't it have more tension and better fit the sense of conflict you're aiming for? I looked in the direction he pointed and a flash of inspiration struck me. That's it. How could I not have thought of that? The problem that had been bothering me for half the night was solved with just a word from him. Asherji, you're a genius. I turned around excitedly, almost hitting his chin. He chuckled softly, straightened up, his eyes appearing deep under the light. It's just that an outsider sees things more clearly. It's late, let's continue tomorrow, inspiration also needs rest. What he said made sense. I saved the file, turned off the computer, and only then did I feel a strong sense of fatigue wash over me. As I stood up, perhaps because I had been sitting for too long, my legs felt weak and I almost fell. Asher quickly steadied me by the waist. His palm was warm and strong, and the heat transferred clearly through the thin fabric of my pajamas. My body stiffened instantly. The air seemed to freeze at that moment. We both remembered the marriage that existed in the eyes of the law but had not truly begun. Asher looked down at me, the gaze behind his glasses no longer calm, but churning with some kind of restrained undercurrent. His Adam's apple bobbed, his voice hoarse. Freya. I knew what he wanted to say, or rather what he wanted to do. My heart was beating fast with nervousness and panic, but strangely there was no rejection. These past few months of being together day and night, his respect, patience and ever-present gentleness had long since seeped into my heart like a gentle rain. That corner frozen by Felix goo was melting away bit by bit. I looked at his face so close to me, at the slightly bewildered self reflected clearly in his eyes, and I didn't dodge. My silence was perhaps a tacit agreement. Asher's eyes instantly darkened, he slowly lowered his head and his warm lips, with a hint of cautious probing, gently covered mine. Unlike the symbolic kiss at the wedding meant for outsiders to see, this kiss was gentle and lingering, full of cherishment and long-suppressed emotions. I didn't refuse, responding to him awkwardly and slowly. This response was like a pardon, instantly igniting the desire that Asher had been suppressing. His arms tightened, deepening the kiss with an irresistible tenderness and dominance, as if pouring into it all the waiting and restraint of the past few months. The study was filled only with the sound of mingled breaths and increasingly erratic heartbeats. When the kiss ended, we were both a little breathless. Asher's forehead rested against mine, his breath hot, his eyes shining with an astonishing brightness, filled with undisguised desire and inquiry. Freya. He called me again, this time with a more obvious plea. I looked into his eyes, and besides the passion, there was a hint of imperceptible nervousness. He was afraid of my rejection. I suddenly felt a little sorry for him. This man, who was usually decisive and efficient, was always so careful and cherishing in front of me. I reached out and gently wrapped my arms around his neck, burying my burning face in the crook of his neck, and said in an almost inaudible voice, "Back to the room." Asher's body stiffened abruptly, and then, immense joy surged into his eyes. He didn't hesitate any longer, sweeping me up into his arms and striding steadily towards the bedroom. Outside the window the moonlight was perfect. That night our marriage truly began. Chapter 14. Sunlight streamed gently through the sheer curtains, softly illuminating the bedroom. I woke up with a sense of warmth and security I had never felt before. A slight, languid soreness in my body reminded me that everything that had happened last night was not a dream. A strong arm lay across my waist, and behind me, I could hear Asher's steady breathing. I didn't move, just lay there quietly, savoring this intimate warmth. There was no regret in my heart, no panic, only a sense of settled peace, and a hint of a quietly growing, unfamiliar sweetness. Asher seemed to be awake as well, his arm tightening slightly, pulling me deeper into his embrace, his chin gently resting on the top of my head, his voice with the morning's huskiness and contentment. "Morning. Morning," I responded softly, the roots of my ears feeling a little hot. He didn't say anything more, just held me quietly like that, the air filled with a silent warmth and understanding. After a long while he softly asked, "What are your plans for today?" "There's a client meeting at the studio," I replied, paused and added, "It should be over early in the afternoon." "Okay," Asher responded, his tone cheerful, "then I'll come back and cook dinner tonight." "What do you want to eat?" "Anything is fine, I like everything you make." The words came out almost as a conditioned reflex, and both he and I were taken aback for a moment. Then we looked at each other and smiled. A natural sense of intimacy flowed out in the smiles. Life seemed to be fast-forwarding, yet flowing forward at a soothing and happy pace. My relationship with Asher entered a completely new phase after that night. Like any ordinary couple, we ate together, took walks together, shared interesting and annoying things from work, and bickered a little over trivial matters, then quickly made up. We would carefully prepare for anniversaries, and on ordinary weekend afternoons, we would snuggle on the sofa and watch an old movie. Asher was still the steady, reliable partner, but with a bit more warmth and tenderness. He couldn't help but nag when I worked late into the night, secretly remembered the gifts I casually mentioned wanting, and held me tightly in his arms on stormy nights. And I, in his care and love, gradually shed my former sensitivity and insecurity, becoming more and more calm and bright. The fiancé who was always cautious and trying to please Felix Gu was slowly disappearing, replaced by a self who was truly loved and dared to love. My design studio also gradually got on the right track, making a name for itself in the industry with several influential projects. I enjoyed the feeling of turning ideas into reality and controlling my own career. Adhere has always been my strongest supporter. He would give me professional advice, but never interfered with my decisions, respecting all my choices. One evening a year later we were invited to a business dinner. This was the first time since our marriage that I formally appeared with Adhere in a large public setting. When I walked into the banquet hall, arm in arm with Adhere, wearing a custom-made dress, calm and elegant, I inevitably attracted the attention of the entire room. There was curiosity, inquiry, but more of it was amazement and admiration. The current fiancé is no longer the bride who was pitted or laughed at the wedding. Ergo, I am Adhere's lawfully wedded wife, a designer with a budding career, and my face radiates confidence and happiness from the inside out. Adhere held my hand tightly, calmly exchanged greetings with everyone, and declared our love and compatibility to all. His eyes followed me all the time, full of undisguised love and pride. In the middle of the banquet I went to the terrace for some fresh air and unexpectedly heard two familiar names. The Gu family is completely finished. I heard Felix Gu isn't doing well abroad either, with repeated investment failures and reckless spending, which infuriated his father. Confrontation? Even worse. Seems like she hooked up with a nouveau riche, but he dumped her after he got bored. Now who knows where she's scraping by. Serves her right. I held my wine glass, quietly watching the distant city lights, my heart filled with peace. Felix Gu and Confrontation, they have long become insignificant footnotes in my life. Their fortune or misfortune no longer stirs the slightest ripple in my heart. What are you thinking? Adhere came to my side at some point, gently placing a shawl on my shoulders. It's cold outside. I turned back and smiled at him, leaning into his arms. Nothing, I just think the lights are very beautiful right now. Adhere lowered his head and kissed the top of my head, softly saying, yes, the lights will be this beautiful every day from now on. After the banquet we didn't take a car, but instead held hands and strolled slowly home along the riverbank. The night breeze was cool, and the river reflected the dazzling neon lights on both banks, shimmering with light. Our shadows were elongated under the streetlights, intertwined, intimate. Adhere. I suddenly stopped and called his name very seriously. He turned to look at me, his eyes gentle. Thank you, I said. Thank you for not really giving up on me back then. Thank you for giving me a seemingly absurd but hopeful choice when I was at my worst. Thank you for using patience and love to smooth my scars, lead me out of the shadows and let me know what it feels like to be loved wholeheartedly by someone. Adhere looked at me deeply, his eyes seeming to twinkle with thousands of stars. He took my hand, kissed it gently on the lips and then took out a small velvet box from his pocket. Under my surprised gaze he knelt on one knee and opened the box. Inside was not another ring but a key and a hand-drawn, somewhat naive house design. Freya, he looked up at me, his eyes pious and affectionate. This is the new home I designed for us, from the blueprints to every brick and tile. It will be according to your preferences. This key represents our shared future. I know our beginning wasn't perfect, but I want to spend every day of the rest of my life telling you that marrying you is the greatest luck of my life, Adhere. I love you, Freya. I love you so, so much. The river breeze swept by, bringing moist water vapor and his confession. I looked at the man kneeling before me, at the undisguised, deep-sea-like love in his eyes, and my eyes instantly welled up with tears. I didn't immediately take the key but instead leaned down, cupped his face in my hands and kissed his lips. This kiss is not about revenge, not about redemption, but only about the overflowing love and happiness in my heart at this moment. I love you too, Asher G. I murmured softly near his lips. I love you very, very much. Our happiness has only just begun. The end. In the distance, a cruise ship sailed by on the river, sending a long whistle as if blessing us. We smiled at each other, embracing tightly in the brilliant lights and gentle night. The pain of the past has long been healed by time and love. And those who once brought us storms will eventually be left far behind us.